Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 8, questions by King Parikshit. Om Ajnanandamirantasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmritamena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master has opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I pay my humble and respectful obeisances to you. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in the previous chapter what we saw, where Brahmaji explained to Narada Muni on the teachings given to him by the Supreme Lord personally, and then afterwards in the chapter 7, in the conclusion, he tells Narada Muni to go and preach this message of Srimad Bhagavatam to everyone. That is the conclusion of the previous, that was the concluding verses, shlokas of the previous chapter. So now, in this chapter, Parikshit Maharaj is asking further questions to Sukadeva Goswami. The first question he is asking is, Brahmaji told him to preach. So how and where did he go and preach? He says that King Parikshit inquired from Sukadeva Goswami, how did Narada Muni explain the transcendent qualities of the Lord, and before whom did he speak? To whom did he go and speak, and how did Narada Muni go and preach the glories of the Lord? That was the first question that was asked. Then afterwards, Sukadeva Goswami is telling about the glories of hearing about the Supreme Lord. He says that. Now, about the Lord he is explaining, and he is telling that to hear about the Lord, what are the great benefits of this Harikatha. So he is saying that this is explaining from the second verse to the sixth verse. He says, he is telling that, please, I wish to know more about the truths of the Lord. His potencies are so wonderful that one has to, and when one hears this, his potencies are so wonderful. And actually his potencies, this Harikatha, is actually good for the entire universe. Adbhuta Loka, he says that. It's he says Loka Sumangala. He says so Loka Sumangala. That means that this Harikatha brings auspiciousness everywhere, all over the universe, simply by narrating that. So he says that such a great this thing is there, Harikatha is there. I would like to know more about this. I want to know the truth about the Lord, because that is what is really going to give this. And he says, please continue to speak about this Harikatha. Oh Parikshit Maharaj, oh Sukadeva Goswami, I want to keep hearing about this glories of the Lord, about the Harikatha, and I want to get myself immersed, totally absorbed in this Harikatha, so that at the time of leaving my body, I still remember him and I leave this body. Because he is going to leave the body, he knows that, and he is telling this to Sukadeva Goswami, please keep narrating, don't stop, keep on narrating, so that I want to completely get myself absorbed in Krishna consciousness. I want to completely absorb my mind in Krishna. And exactly, if you go back to Bhagavad Gita, in the 8th chapter, what has Krishna said there? He says, Andakalecha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayaha. And over at the end of his life, quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajante त्यजति अन्ते कलेवरम Tam tame vaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitaha. Whatever state of being one remembers when he twits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So Krishna tells Arjuna, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. He said, therefore, Tasmat means therefore. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmaridyacha mayarpita manobuddhya mame vaishyasi asamshaya. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. Now here, Parikshit Maharaj is telling Sukadeva Goswami, continue to speak, don't stop. Continue to speak about Krishna Katha, because I want to get myself absorbed in Krishna consciousness. I want to be completely absorbed in Krishna. My memory, my mind completely should be on Krishna. And absorbed in him, I want to leave this body, he says. And then afterwards, in the fourth shloka, he says, one who continuously hears and chants about Krishna with faith and serious endeavor, the Lord quickly manifests in the heart. Shrinvataha shraddhaya nityam grantascha swachestitam kalena nati dirghena bhagavan vashate hridi. The Lord quickly manifests in the heart of a devotee who continuously keeps hearing and chanting and thereby remembering the glories of the Lord. And then afterwards he says Harikatha, how Harikatha is so pure and how it helps one. He says that the beauty of that Harikatha, he says, and he says Pravishtaha Karnarandarena. He says that Pravishtaha Karnarandena, that is, through the ears, Krishna, in the form of Krishna Katha, enters the heart through the ears of the hearer. And what he does after hearing? Dhunoti Shamalam Krishnaha Salilasyata Sharat. Pravishtaha Karnarandena Swanam Bhava Saroruham Dhunoti Shamalam Krishnaha Salilasyata Sharat. Krishna in the form of Harikatha enters through the Krishna in the form of Harikatha enters the heart through the ears of the hearer. And what it does? Dhunoti Shamalam Krishnaha, and washes away all the contaminations in the heart. And what are the main contaminations? Lust, anger, greed, hankering, etc. Hankering means greed. Lust, anger, greed, etc. All these things will get cleansed simply by hearing Krishna Katha. And Krishna himself enters, obviously he will cleanse the place. And for one whose heart has thus been cleansed, what happens to him? Such a person can never give up the Lord's lotus feet. He will never be able to give up the Lord's lotus feet. A person with purified heart who has got Krishna in his heart, he has placed Krishna in his heart, he can never give up the Lord's lotus feet. Just like a traveler, after a great travel, he reaches home. Then once he reaches home, how he feels? He feels so relaxed and he wants to be at home. As a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey. Same thing here. Our life is all troubled journey. And afterwards, when the heart is cleansed of everything, we feel so peaceful, so much at home. Because Krishna has entered our heart, all the lust, greed, anger, everything is removed from our heart. That peace what he gets. Just like a traveler, once he comes home, he is relaxed and he is sitting at home. Is it not? Traveling means there are so many difficulties. Journey means what? Yatra means there are so many difficulties. Expected, unexpected, planned, unplanned. Everything happens. But once after everything you come back home, you feel so relaxed when you come back home. Is it not? Same way. When once Krishna has entered our heart and he is sitting inside the heart, once our heart is cleansed completely, then we also feel so relaxed. This is Now, from the 7th text to 23rd text in this particular chapter, this is the 8th chapter, Parikshit Maharaj is asking several questions. The questions can be classified as one pertaining to the Jiva and the Paramatma, Jiva and the Supreme Lord, and another could be various other things like Kala, Karma, and various other miscellaneous questions he is asking. So let's get into those questions, because all these questions are very, very interesting one, and it is something pertaining to all of us. Very, very interesting these questions are really. So let us start with those questions. So first question he is asking is this: the transcendental spirit soul is different from the material body. Does he acquire the body accidentally or by some cause? Will you kindly explain this, for it is known to you? He is telling to Sukadeva Goswami. What does it mean? He is saying that the Atma is a spiritual Atma, spirit is a spirit, body is material. How did this Jiva, which is spiritual in nature, attain this material body? After asking this question, second he asks this question: if the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whose abdomen the lotus stem is sprouted, is possessed of a gigantic body according to his own caliber and measurement, then what is the specific difference between the body of the Lord and those of common living entities? We say that both the Supreme Lord also has got a body, just like we also have got a human form. Supreme Lord also has got a human form. Is there any difference between the body of the Lord and our body? Then he says, now comes about, he's talking about Brahma. Brahma appeared from the navel of the Lord, is it not? From the lotus flower coming out of the navel abdomen of the Lord. And he is the creator of all those who are materially born. Of course, by the grace of the Lord, Brahma was able to see the form of the Lord. But is the form of the Lord similar to that of the material body of Brahma? Because Brahma has come from the lotus flower of the lotus stem of the from the navel of the Lord. Or is it different? See, Brahma has come from the navel. So is Brahma's also feature same like the Lord, or is it different? Then in the 10th verse he is asking, please explain the personality of Godhead who lies in every heart as the super soul and as the Lord of all energies, but is untouched by his external energy. Now he is asking the distinction between two. Please explain the personality of Godhead who lies in every heart as a super soul. He has said that there are three forms of Brahma, three forms of Vishnu we have talked of, Purushavasaras. One is Karanodakashayi Vishnu, Karana, so Karanodakashayi Vishnu. Second is Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, and third is Shurodakashayi Vishnu. One who is inside all the living beings as a super soul or as a living witness inside, he is called Shirodakashayi Vishnu. And the Lord who entered first into the material universe, the entire material universe, material creation, he is called Karanodakashayi Vishnu. So, he is asking, as the Lord of all the being untouched by his external, please explain about this Karanodakashayi Vishnu. What is he, how is he, that he wants to know. Then he is also asking, it was formerly explained that all the planets of the universe with their respective governors are situated in the different parts of the gigantic body of the Virata Purusha. I have also heard that the different planetary systems are supposed to be in the gigantic body of the Virat Purusha. But what is their actual position? We read in the previous chapter also that the Virat Purusha of the form of the Lord and the different planets represent, the different planets along with the presiding deities represent the different limbs of the Lord. Now he is asking more about that details. Can you please explain that what is their actual position? Will you please explain that? So these are the questions pertaining to directly to the Jiva and the Supreme Lord. So the first question he is asked is that we are all spirit souls, Jiva, how did we enter this material body? That is the first question. Secondly, the Lord, both the Lord and the common man like us, we have got bodies. Are our bodies same or are the bodies different? What is the difference between the two bodies? Third, Brahma sprouted from the navel of the Supreme Lord. So is Brahma's body also like the Supreme Lord's body or is it different? Third. Fourth, about the Karana of the Kashayi Vishnu. Where does he live? How is he? I want to know more details about Karana of the Kashayi Vishnu. That is the fourth one. And the fifth one he says is that the different planetary systems along with their presiding deities are representing the different limbs or the imaginary positions of the different limbs of the body of the Virata Purusha. Please explain more about that also. So these are the 5 types of questions he is asking to Sukadeva Goswami. In this up to text 11, he has asked these questions. Now coming from text 12, Sukadeva Goswami's Parikshit Maharaj is inquiring about this creation, more about the creation, about the time factor, karma. These are the things now he is asking. So the first 5 questions about the Jiva that I have explained now. I hope that is clear to all of you. Those questions. Now this particular chapter is only on questions. Next chapter onwards the answers come. Right up to the end of Canto 12. Till 12 all those various things will get explained also. Now from the 12th question, 12th shloka, he is asking about Kala, Karma, etc. So let us see that. Now here he is asking, please explain the duration of time between creation and annihilation, and that of other subsidiary creations, as well as the nature of time indicated by the sound of past, present and future. Also please explain the duration and measurement of life of the different living beings known as the demigods, the human beings, etc. in different planets of the universe. Now here he is asking 2-3 questions here. He is asking. What is asking? First he is asking the time span between creation and annihilation. That is called a kalpa. So what is the time span in a kalpa? From the time of creation till the time of annihilation. What is the time duration? Number 1. Number 2, there are subdivisions in that kalpa. So what about that? That is called vikalpa. So what he wants to know more about the subdivisions of that kalpa. So he is asking that part. Second. Then he is asking this, how time is perceived in different ages and planetary systems. He says here, is it not? Also please explain the duration and measurement of life of the different living beings known as the demigods human beings in different planets of the universe. So now he is asking this question also. Now how about the duration of the various living beings? That is another thing that is asking. Measurement of life and of the different living beings. Now we know that in different planets different living beings are living. There are devatas living in the higher planetary systems. Now how is their life measured? What is their lifespan? And what is the lifespan of the human beings? How is it measured? What it is like? And how time is perceived in different ages and planetary systems. So these are the questions he's asking about time. Then he's asking, next is about please also explain the cause of the different durations of time, both short and long, as well as the beginning of time following the course of action. Now he's talking of the divisions of time. Between short time, between the different durations of time, both short and long. It is starting from nimisha. From that nimisha, from the atom, when we go into that next, this thing it will get explained. From the atom, right from there, how right up to kalpa, how is that time is gathered. Now we have got this simple thing, we have got the seconds, minutes, hours, days, months, weeks, months, years, decades, we call it, then century, we call that. This is not like that it goes. Like that, in the previous, so there was nanoseconds also available at that time. So how is that calculated? That calculation is what is being asked. So they split up Please explain the cause of the different durations of time, both short and long, as well as the beginning of time following the course of action. Then kindly explain. Now, so these are the questions on the time he has asked. Now he is asking about the karma aspect he is asking. And in the karma he is asking, kindly explain, describe how the proportionate accumulation of the reactions resulting from the different modes of material nature act upon the desiring living being, promoting or degrading him among the different species of life, beginning from the demigods down to the most insignificant creatures. Now we know that it is the various, according to our karma, we take different births also. So here he is asking here, for different karmas, different for different karmas, different when we discuss the proportionate, how the proportionate accumulation of the reactions resulting from different modes of material nature act upon the desiring living being, promoting or degrading him among the different species of life. They have said that somebody can be promoted into a higher species. One can become either a devata or one can become an insignificant ant. One can also go into the animal kingdom. So there are 8,400,000 species of life. We have seen that. How people are born in different species of life according to their karma. What prompts them to go get into what is the resultant reaction of the different karmas, accumulation of different karmas that pushes one into a particular species of life. Not only that, they also go to the different planetary system. There are 14 planets, lokas. People get also pushed to different lokas. So what karma pushes whom in what species and in what loka, in which planet it will. So that is another interesting question. These are all, actually, these are the various questions asked. Then he is saying, please also next, this is the 15th verse. He is saying that, please describe how the creation of the globes throughout the universe, the four directions of the heavens, the sky, the planets, the stars, the mountains, the rivers, the seas and the islands, as well as the different kinds of inhabitants take place. So this is a question of different creation. See, creation of the globes throughout the universe. We know that how is the universe has been created? How it has been created? What are the various divisions available there? How is that been done? There are different places in this universe. What are they? How have they been created? And how the different inhabitants in different places, how are they placed in different places? See, we are all placed here. We are placed as a human being in this particular form. But some places also human beings are there, but they are in different forms. So how is it? So different places, different types of inhabitants. You take the sea, you get the aquatics. How is it that in that place only aquatics are all placed? So there's another interesting question he's asking. Then he's asking, please describe the inner and outer space of the universe by specific divisions. That means he's talking about the dimension of the universe. What is the dimension of this universe, entire universe? As well as the character and activities of the great souls. And also the characteristics of the different classifications of the castes and orders of social life. Now he is saying the characteristics and activities of the great souls. Who are the Mahatmas? As per the definition, Mahatmas are the ones who have completely surrendered to the Lord. They are the great devotees of the Lord. So what are the characteristics of such great souls, great Mahatmas? And again, he is asking about the Varnashrama, different classifications of the castes and orders of social life. So that he is asking for, and then he is saying that, please explain all the different ages in the duration of the creation. Now we know that there are 4 yugas that it comes. So he is saying that, please explain all the different yugas, ages in the duration of the creation, and also the duration of such ages. The different yugas are there, and what is the duration of each yuga? That also is asking. Also tell me about the different activities of the different incarnations of the Lord in different ages. So there are so many yuga avatars who is coming. So what are their leelas? What are the leelas that are being performed of the, and what is also, he's also asking, tell me about the different activities. What is the Yuga Dharma? That also is asking. Or the different incarnations of the Lord in different ages. Then he's saying, please explain what may generally be the common religious affiliations of human society, as well as the specific occupational duties in religion. Now see, occupational duty of all religion is what we know. Occupational duty of all the human beings is to simply surrender to the Lord and to engage oneself in devotional service. First canto of Bhagavatam. Please also explain what may generally be the common religious affiliations of human society, as well as their specific occupational duties in religion. Then the classification of social orders, as well as the administrative royal orders and the religious principle for one who may be in distress. So this is the emergency situation, is it not? What is the administrative royals and the religious principles for one who may be in distress? That is called apad dharma. So in times of emergency, how one is supposed to, what is one supposed to do? So he is saying that here, regular devotional service, the regular occupational duty, that is the devotional service, that is their bhakti, and then he is also saying occupational duties according to the different social orders, that is according to different births. Now he is talking about births this time. So there are, in different births, what are the different occupational duties one has got to do, and also what is the emergency duties, or rather what are the duties of a person in an emergency situation. Now see, these types of questions itself are so wonderful. Most of these questions we have never thought of also, actually, in our life. Still there are more questions, I am coming to those questions also, but still in the middle I am telling, what are the types of questions you are asking? First of all, it has been a great opening for us that to know, most of us, that we are a Jivatma, we are separated from this. There is a Paramatma, there is a Supreme Lord, there is a relation, there is a connection between us and the Supreme Lord. These itself are great revelations for us through Bhagavad Gita. Now, further than that, further questions are being asked here about the Jivatma, about the Paramatma, how the creation of this world, how this world has come into existence, how this universe has come into existence, how we have all come into this universe, how different types of people, 8,400,000 species have come into this universe. Who created this? What prompted for such creation? And how do we transmigrate from one species to another species, from one planet to another planet? What karma could take us to different planets? What karma could take us to different species, whether it is in the higher species or the lower species? These are all very intelligent questions that are being asked. Compared to these such a mundane, materialistic matters with which we get ourselves involved with on a day-to-day basis. We are so much bothered about BR election, who will come, whether Congress, BJP will come or RJD will come. Both are useless. Sorry to say, I don't mean exactly. What I mean is that, I don't want to get into that subject matter, but the point is this, they are all looking only from the materialistic point of view. You know, one is saying that you have not done this, another is saying that you have not done this, only finding fault with each other and trying to solve it. But the main problems, main intelligent matters lies here. Our spiritual, these are all for in our interest, what it is like. What is of real self-interest to me? These are all very elevated questions which really open our eyes to so many unknown things in life. Purpose of life. We have been brought in this world, we have been conditioned so much to think materially, material activities and everything, right from our childhood, from the time we are born, that we keep thinking of all these materialistic things. But here, all these questions, none of these questions are really materialistic. Whole thing is designed to get us released from these material activities. Before that, he talked of Krishna Katha. And he said how Krishna Katha, just simply listening, how it cleanses one's heart. Then he talked about the Jiva. Then he talked about the Supreme Lord. What is the relation between the Supreme Lord and the Jiva? Do they have both of them as the same bodies? Or are they different? How as a Jiva, how have I got this material body? These are all very pertinent questions what we need to ask ourselves actually. But we need to give time for these things to ask. But then if we are so much engrossed in the material activities, how will we ask such questions? We should also have time to ask such questions, is it not? So that inclination has to come in us to ask such questions. Then the time is there. We have to really study. Not that we study this Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam once we understand it. We don't understand it at all. Many times we read and we just keep it aside because we are not able to understand. The subject matter itself is so elevated subject matter, so high for us that we are not able to understand it. So we keep it aside. And we try to give our own interpretation, which we should avoid. So that's in the end of this chapter, Parikshit Maharaj is telling Sukadeva Goswami, I'm asking you all these questions because you are coming in the parampara. And because you are coming in the parampara and you know it, because you are already elevated, you are exalted, you have the knowledge, you have got this knowledge from Vyasadeva in the parampara as given by the Supreme Lord himself. That is the reason why I am asking you all these questions. Because I am sure you know the answers also for this. It's like this. So some of these questions he has asked now. Now let us go further questions what it is like. So he is talking about yoga, then we said that occupational duties. Then he is asking about the next question he is asking is this. This is on text 19. Kindly explain all about the elementary principles of creation, the number of such elementary principles, their causes and their development, and also the process of devotional service and the method of mystic powers. Now here he is asking of the Sankhya, worship of the Purusha avatars, and the Yoga Mishra Bhakti he is talking of here. Answers are provided later, we will know that. Then what are the opulences of the great mystics? What is their ultimate realization? What is the destination of these mystics? What do they do? How does the perfect mystic become detached from the subtle astral body? The mystic also not only detaches himself from the physical, from the gross body, but also from the subtle body. How does he get himself detached? Then what is the basic knowledge of the Vedic literatures, including the branches of histories and the supplementary Puranas? That is, what are the conclusion of the Vedas, Upanishads, then Itihasas, Puranas, etc. What are their conclusions? Asking that. Then, please explain unto me how the living beings are generated, how they are maintained, and how they are annihilated. Now this is very particular. This is all very relevant to us. In fact, all the questions are relevant, but this straight away, how the living beings are generated, how have we come? From where have we come? How have we been generated? And how they are maintained? How are we being maintained? So somebody is maintaining us also. That is also there. We feel that we are maintaining ourselves because we work hard and we earn and that's why we are maintaining. No. But as we know that when we were generated, we had no control over it, right? Without our permission, we have been generated. And even at the time of annihilation, without our permission, we are getting annihilated. In between, we are maintained. So when entry also, I don't have a permission. My permission is not taken. My exit also, nobody takes my permission. In between, who is going to take my permission? How can I think that I am living on my own? Is it not? When I am born, anybody asked me whether you want to be born in this world? Do you want to be born as a Purusha or as a Stree? Nobody asked that question. We have been just pushed into this world. We have come. So my entry, there was nobody asked my permission for the entry. Without my permission, I come into this. I made the entry. Similarly, exit also, nobody asks me, time up, would you like to leave now, this universe? Are you tired? Are you happy here? Or you want to stay more? No. There also I am being taken away without my permission. Entry, I don't have permission. Exit, I don't have permission. I don't have control. Rather, entry, I don't have control. Exit also, I don't have a control. In between, where do I have a control? I don't have even control in between. That's what it says here. It says that, please explain unto me how the living beings are generated, how they are maintained, and how they are annihilated. Tell me also of the advantages and disadvantages of discharging devotional service unto the Lord. There is a favorable and unfavorable situations, all these of devotional service. What are the Vedic rituals and injunctions of the supplementary Vedic rites? and what are the proceedings of religion, economic development, and sense gratification. That is dharmartha kama moksha. Dharmartha kama. That is being said. What are the various this thing and the various rules and regulations? What are the Vedic rituals and injunctions of the supplementary Vedic rites? So what are the rules and regulations to follow there? That is being asked. And then please explain how merged in the body of the Lord living beings are created and how the infidels appear in the world. Also please explain how the unconditioned living entities exist. So at the time of Pralaya, it is explained that everybody merges into the abdomen of the Lord. Then again they are all taken out. So again, once having gone, again how do we come out into this world? That's the question. Then he says that along with that, there are not only this, there are many unwanted, unfavorable people, asuras or the atheists, they also come. How is it that they are also created? What is the cause for their creation also? And thirdly, explain how the unconditioned living entities exist. Now if you remember, we discussed this about Nitya-baddhas and Nitya-siddhas. Is it not? Nitya-baddhas are eternally conditioned. Like we are all conditioned souls. Nitya-baddhas. Nitya-siddhas are the ones who are eternally liberated. So all the living entities in this universe are Nitya-baddhas, eternally conditioned. We are conditioned by the material conditions. We are conditioned in this material world. Nitya-siddhas are eternally liberated from these material conditions. So this is the thing. And he is asking the last question. The independent personality of Godhead enjoys his pastimes by his internal potency and at the same time of annihilation gives them up to the external potency and he remains a witness to it all. So how does the Lord perform his various leelas? And when he is performing his various leelas, he is using this Yogamaya. Through Yogamaya only he performs all the various leelas here. Then what happens? Then he also disappears without any attachment for any of these things. So how is it that he is performing his different various leelas with the help of this Yogamaya? So when you find totally here 23 questions have been asked by Parikshit Maharaj. Very interesting questions. The first one were all connected about the Lord and the Jiva. Second, we saw about the Kala. We saw about the Kala. Kala is asking about the time span between the creation and annihilation, and also is asking about the Vikalpa. Vikalpa means the subdivisions of the time. Kala is asking, Kalpa is asking. Then he is asking how the time is perceived in different yugas and in different planetary systems. How is it perceived? That is there. Then also asking about the lifespan of the different living entities in different species. Like human beings, what is it? The devatas in the different planets, what is their lifespan? So the lifespan, so that is all coming under time. And again, divisions of time, how the time has been divided. It starts with Nimisha, it starts like that. And from Nimisha right up to Kalpa, how is it calculated? These are the questions on time, Kala. Then comes on Karma. Then says various karmic activities we do. And according to our various karmic activities, we get different bodies. So what accumulation of what karmic activity results in different bodies. In different planets, in different species we get into. How is it done? Then he's asking about, that's on karma. Then he's asking about the creation of various places in this universe and their inhabitants. There are different places are there, and every place is having some inhabitants, not necessarily human beings, but inhabitants are there. If you go into the sea, ocean, you have got inhabitants in the ocean. Space, you have got birds. Everywhere you go to jungles, you have got animals. So different spaces given for different animals. Reptiles are there, they stay below the ground. below the bhumi, below the earth also there are people, there are living entities. How are they staying there? So that is there. Then what is the length and breadth of this universe? That is the next, that question comes. And the different, about various yugas. The 4 yugas are there. And what is the duration of each yuga? What is the yuga dharma? What is the yuga avatara? And what are the leelas performed in the different yugas? All those things are activities. Then comes the about opulence, destination and destruction of the subtle body of the great yogis or devotees of the Lord. Then what is the conclusion of all the Vedas, Upanishads, Itihasas, Puranas, that is being asked. Now we are in this, we all come into this universe, we are being, what do you call that, we all get generated, all the living entities get generated into this universe, we get maintained, then we also get annihilated. How is it? How are we getting delivered from this entire cycle of birth and death, samsara, for all living entities? Then what are the favorable and unfavorable activities for doing devotional service? And again, what is the procedure for this artha dharma, artha, kama? What is it there? There is a, so like that, different questions, totally 23 questions have been asked. Then Parikshit Maharaj is telling Sukadeva Goswami, please explain all these things to me. I have inquired you so many questions, but certain questions I may have also missed out. That is also possible. So whatever, please answer whatever questions I have asked and also whatever I have missed out. If you think that is all very relevant and important for me to know, please feel at ease and please feel free to explain to me even those points what I have missed out. And I'm asking you all these things because you are an authority coming in the parampara. Lord Krishna has explained it to Brahma. Brahma has explained it to Narada. Then Narada explained it to Vyasadeva. And from Vyasadeva it has come to Sukadeva Goswami. From Vyasadeva it has come to Sukadeva Goswami. And from Sukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj wants to hear. So here he is saying, among all sages you are the authority because you are coming in the parampara. And so whatever knowledge you have, that must be perfect. So that's what we should know, that people who are coming in the parampara, their knowledge is perfect. They may not have the complete knowledge, but whatever knowledge they have, that knowledge is perfect. It may be incomplete, but it is definitely not imperfect. That's what we tell in ISKCON devotees, they come in the parampara. But certainly, although we all come in the parampara, we are anywhere close to any of the previous acharyas. The previous acharyas were also elevated, so exalted devotees they were, that we can't stand anywhere close to them. Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj, they are highly elevated souls. We can't stand anywhere close to them in terms of the knowledge or in terms of the intelligence or in terms of our realization. So to that extent, our knowledge is not complete knowledge. Our knowledge is incomplete. My knowledge is incomplete knowledge. But my knowledge is incomplete, but it is not imperfect. Whatever extent I have understood, that is a perfect knowledge. Although I may not have the complete knowledge of everything. That's that. So like that, here he is saying, you are coming in parampara, but Sukadeva Goswami and all exalted, very great. You are coming in the parampara, so obviously all your knowledge is definitely correct. And he says, I'm so eager to hear about all these things. This Krishna Katha, everything is related to Krishna. I want to hear everything about this Krishna Katha. And I'm not affected either by thirst, hunger or sleep or anything like that. Because I'm continuously drinking the nectar of Krishna which is flowing from your mouth. Because the nectar is flowing from your mouth, I'm enjoying it. And that is completely satisfying me. And I've totally forgotten my thirst or my hunger or my sleep or anything. So please continue to explain all these things, he says. Then afterwards, listening to this, now Sukadeva Goswami is very, very pleased with Maharaja Parikshit's inquiries because all the questions asked were so much are so relevant for all the living entities for the times to come. These questions were asked some 5,000 years back. Is it not? Before the advent of Kali Yuga it was asked. Or rather just at the time of advent of Kali Yuga all these questions were asked. And see, everything is turning out to be correct also here. So it is all for the people to come still. So Parikshit Maharaj was, Sukadeva Goswami was extremely happy because these questions are for the welfare of the general mass of people. He was happy. And then he spoke Srimad Bhagavatam, which was first spoken by the Lord to Brahma in the first Kalpa. Sukadeva Goswami prepared himself to describe or rather to answer all the questions that the king had inquired. So in conclusion, we can see that the questions were raised by Parikshit Maharaj. They are all for our benefit, this is all for our benefit. And if we have to try to understand these things, Bhagavatam when we read, many times we may find that there are certain difficulties in understanding it. Like Bhagavad Gita, once when we read, it is very difficult to understand. But then, reading again, Prabhupada was asked this question, we are finding certain times difficulty in understanding these things. What is the way out? Like here also, there are in this group also, people who would definitely find certain sections of this Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam difficult to understand. So what is the way out? We will have to reread. We have to read it again and again and again to understand what it is. And ask relevant questions. We should not read it like a examination. Or we should not read it just like, just I want to complete Bhagavad Gita once, so I will read it. So that if someone asks, have you read Bhagavad Gita? I can say I have read it. Okay, what have you understood? Well, I don't remember anything. No, that should not be the purpose. That will not help us. But we should read to really understand and see how I can apply in my life and how I can improve my life. That is the whole purpose of reading. That is the whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita. And that's the whole purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam. How to purify my life. How to go back to Krishna Loka. That's the whole purpose. So with this I will stop the class for the day. We have finished it a bit early because this chapter was only questions. We have discussed this. Thank you very much to all of you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Granth Raj ki jai.